don't know how you answer it between
I'm
you
not going to answer all.
You're going to answer.
No. Let me give. I should say I've been retired for a number of years, so I'm not. And anything I say is on my own responsibility and don't take it as a government view, whatever you do. I'm speaking on my own behalf. I'm giving you as close to the truth as I can. And if I can't answer a question, I'll say I can't answer it, rather than fudge it. I don't know the real answer to the security service and SIS, and I may. There is something in the absolute promise given by SIS in recruiting agents overseas, where the individuals are placing their lives in the hands of the agency, that is simply not going to come out. Particularly, I mean, this may change a little bit as we move away from the Cold War and move away from a situation where the families of people who had helped British intelligence themselves could come under threat. But that's part of the deal, and it's quite difficult to correct. So I think that's one of the reasons why the official history of the authorised history only goes up to, 1949?
Well, actually, I can tell you that they are actually currently preparing a new history of MI6, and it's going to be a companion volume to the MI5 one, and I think it's due out next year. It's Jeffrey's book, isn't it?
It's Jeffrey's.
And he has had access to lots of papers. He isn't going to be able to cite where they appear in the archives, just like Christopher Omand couldn't. And he's in the middle, I think, of having similar arguments with MI6 as Christopher Andrew had with MI5 about the sorts of information that he was told he had to leave out, some of which I know seemed very trivial to Christopher Andrew. But yes, some of that information is going to come out. It also seems to me very important, actually, that however this is a point I think needs to be emphasised. The fact is the intelligence services are always going to want as much as possible to be kept secret, because it is absolutely intrinsic to their culture. But it is very important for a democratic society to have the tools to be able to assess what has happened in its intelligence history in the past. I quite understand the issue about sending people out and not wanting their families to have reprisals, but clearly, it seems absolutely preposterous that a single document that dates back to 1909 has been released, and there must be a point at which the statute of limitations really does come. It seems to me, we should be able to scrutinise our own security services, at some point.
Yes, I just point out that, of course, we're talking here about the records of human intelligence agencies. The technical achievements of Bletchley Park and so on, and the decrypts you can read in the public record of them. And that again illustrates that there isn't the same moral deal between the agency, the officers concerned, and the agent.
That said, nobody knew about, nobody public knew about the existence of Bletchley until 1985.
Well,
let's continue.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
I mean, I would challenge the proposition the public had a right to know about that.
Maybe not, but
I really would challenge that. If it turned out that particular technology was still useful, then what on earth would be the public value and the public interest in making that known? As it turned out, the technology, wasn't of any value. So the historians have had free range. And good for that. I'm all for historians writing about this. And of course, the other point I think it's worth injecting is that, particularly in the context of international terrorism and some public unease about what is being done in our name, getting confidence in what the agencies are doing is more important than it was in the old days. And you're not going to get that if you have complete secrecy. So there's a real dilemma. And that's why, that's why the agencies are happy to have histories written.
Well, it's a friction, but I think it's a very important friction, useful friction. Anyway.
Yeah, let me raise that. The tribunal, if you apply to the tribunal, say you think your telephone's being tapped, you will not be told after the investigation whether it has been tapped or not. What you will be told is whether the law was broken. And that will not tell you whether or not. And that's in the legislation. Parliament legislated that way very deliberately, obviously to stop fishing expeditions. The reason why there may be 1,000 complaints and only 2 or 3 upheld is because this part of Toten's work is meticulously administered.